You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, an escaped Ottawa County, Oklahoma inmate finds himself back in custody after grabbing a beer.
Done with our thunderstorm activity and the sunny skies, we will not be back into the 70s today. The cold front's upon us, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, a stranger offers to build a ramp for a North Carolina teen in a wheelchair. All that and more coming up.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. An escaped Ottawa County, Oklahoma inmate is back behind bars after he was found grabbing a beer. Charles Chance escaped from the jail early Saturday morning. He'd been on the loose until he was spotted grabbing a beer at Chili's in Mayes County. Chance was originally held on a number of charges, including possession of stolen property. Sheriff says the Miami tribe will help his office replace the locking system at the jail. PETA wants to track down whoever brutally killed a Parsons police officer's dog. Parsons Police Department already has a reward out for information leading to the arrest of whoever killed the dog ranger. And now PETA is offering an additional $5,000 reward. That brings the potential reward up to $8,000. Joplin's Bacon Me Crazy food truck is making a big impact in Kentucky as it does its part for the victims of last week's tornado. Food truck was met with long lines when it arrived in the damaged area. Donations to a GoFundMe have allowed the owners to hand out cash and gift cards to folks impacted by that deadly tornado. The owners have pulled in more than $9,000 through that fundraiser. They're providing updates on their Facebook page so you can follow along as they pay it forward. Fox 14's 18th annual Feed the Four States food drive is underway, and we're collecting non-perishable food items for area food pantries like Crosslines and Wesley House during the season of high demand. You can also make a monetary donation online at KOAMnewsnow.com/feed. The food drive will continue through December 31st. Your donations go towards programs like the Watered Gardens Food Pantry. Right now, they say they need the help, but things are looking up thanks to generous four-staters.
We've really seen a steady kind of increase. Last year, I think with some of the additional funding that was happening because of COVID resources, we actually saw maybe not quite as much need, but this year it's been steadily increasing. So much so in the last couple of months, we've seen it about a third more than we were seeing folks.
One of the area recipients of your donation is Crosslines Ministries in Joplin. Hundreds of people rely on the Crosslines Food Pantry to help feed their families. They're always looking for donations to help, but things can get especially busy around the holidays.
Yeah, any food that's not donated to Crosslines, we have to purchase. And so feeding the four states annually helps us out a great deal, and that it allows us to keep food on the shelves during a season where a lot of folks are really strapped.
Crosslines Ministries is at 320 South School Avenue in Joplin. One of the area businesses teaming up with Fox 14 for our Feed the Four States campaign is Wesco Home Furnishings. And Wesco has locations throughout Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. And several of those stores are also Feed the Four States drop-off locations where you can simply bring non-perishable food items.
I just think it's important for us to be part of the community and kind of help out where we can. And I know that right now there's a lot of people that need help. So I mean, just to help out with helping the pantries with food and stuff like that, being a place where they can help donate.
For a full list of drop-off locations, you can head to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. One of the area food pantries helped by Feed the Four States campaign is the Salvation Army in Ottawa County, Oklahoma. Salvation Army relies on volunteers and donations to provide food to area families in need, and that need is even greater because of the pandemic. The location in Miami is using a drive-through system to hand out food.
There's a definite relationship that is formed with the clients when we are able to provide food for them. They always, we have several that will come back and say, hey, can we come help in the pantry too? And so that's always a joy.
Salvation Army of Ottawa County hosts drive-thrus on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to noon. Well, his official title now is Knight Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. Oh, and he has a race car. Seven-time Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton received his knighthood from the Prince of Wales. Windsor Castle on Wednesday for his stellar career and contributions to motorsport. Hamilton's knighthood came just days after the Brit fell agonizingly short of winning a record 8th title following a dramatic showdown with Max Verstappen at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. 36-year-old is the 4th F1 driver to be knighted, following in the footsteps of Jack Brabham, Sterling Moss, and Jackie Stewart. Hamilton, though, is the first to be awarded the honor while still racing. And
of course, that race in Dubai fraught with controversy there on the final lap. So I bet Lewis Hamilton feels a little bit better, even though even though he lost out on the Grand Prix there. That's a hard thing to beat. You know, become a knight of the British Empire. You would love that, wouldn't you? To be a dame.
You can knight me. That's fine. I don't know, it's not traditional, but I'd
No,
like to
you'd be a
knight
dame.
too. Why can't I be a knight in shining armor?
Because of the order of the British Empire, you have knighthood and you have damehood.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Let's change it.
You just really want to be a knight. She also wants to be a Viking too, folks.
Or
Ask
a princess.
If you ever see Tanya out and about, ask her about wanting to be a Viking, because that is true as well. Sunny skies.
At one point, there were Vikings in England. Okay,
You what?
so there you go. At one point, there were Vikings in England. So.
Oh, I know. You
Yeah.
can tie it all together. I love it.
Yeah.
We're going to have a whole lot more sunshine today than what we had yesterday, but our temperatures are going to be cooler. Done with our overnight thunderstorm activity. Everything is dipped off to our southeast of our highlighted counties. The problem with it is it's going to continue down to the southeast and eventually be affecting those areas that are trying to clean up from the weekend of devastating tornadoes from northeast Arkansas, the Boot Heel, western Kentucky, southern Indiana. Give you an idea of how much rain we've picked up here in the last 24 hours. Down about 2 inches down there in the Cassville area. Luckily, our ground dry enough that we were able to support this without any flooding concerns. 0.4 of an inch at Joplin Regional Airport, as well as 0.4 of an inch at Martin Johnson Airport in Chanute. Over 7th and Rangeline, sitting at 39 degrees. Did pick up just a little bit of a wind gust right there, but it won't be as blustery as what it has been past couple of days. Temperatures already down close to the freezing mark there up to the northwest, 33 in Iola, 34 in Yates Center. And we're watching everything down south of I-44 begin to drop as the system moves through. Let's go 42 in Miami, 39 right now in Pittsburgh. Wind doing a 180 on us. Instead of coming in from the south, we're now pretty much going north-northwest. I'm just going to keep it at about 10 to 15 miles per hour today. We're not going to have to worry about any wind advisories, anything like that. And these cooler temperatures are actually not going to hang around too long. As a matter of fact, even this afternoon, average high this time of year should be about 48. We're going to make it up into the mid-50s. It's going to be absolutely delightful. Now, Friday morning, we've got some additional rainfall coming. The reason we concentrated on those rain totals down to the south is because that's where it will actually begin Friday morning as well. By the time it's all said and done, we'll be talking about 1.5 to 2 inches consistently south of I-44. Friday afternoon, a little bit more widespread as it moves up to the north, and then kind of dropping back down for Friday night. And nothing severe, and we should have very limited thunder and lightning, nothing like what we had last night. But the 7-day forecast will show you we actually have a little chill in the air this weekend. 44 on Saturday, 48 on Sunday. And that overnight low from Saturday and Sunday dipping into the 20s.
Well, up next, Pfizer pushes for emergency authorization for a COVID-19 treatment pill. We'll have details. And later, a Michelin-starred restaurant gets roasted in a hilarious review. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Final data on Pfizer's experimental treatment for COVID-19 has now been shared with the FDA as part of the company's application to authorize the pill for emergency use. Mandy Gaither has a look at the results.
If authorized, this pill could be another tool in the fight against COVID-19. Pfizer says updated results show the treatment cut the risk of hospitalization or death by 89% if given to high-risk adults within a few days of first symptoms.
The pill is potentially a lifesaver for everyone.
Pfizer hopes to offer the pills under the name Paxlovid for people to take at home before they're sick enough to go to the hospital.
When we have peaks of this disease, when we have the waves that are coming, the hospitals are really over crowded. and that creates significant issues to the healthcare system. Right, with this pill, we are expecting that instead of 10 people going to hospital, only one will go, and actually no one is dying.
The company says it expects the drug to retain activity against variants like Omicron, and it appears to do so in lab tests because the drug blocks an enzyme involved in viral replication. But Pfizer's CEO wants to make it clear the pill treats COVID-19 but doesn't prevent it.
Vaccines are needed. Vaccines is the primary frontier that we should be using to stop the disease.
If the FDA grants emergency use authorization, Pfizer says the pill could be available in the U.S. this month.
FDA Advisory Committee has not set a date for approval. The U.S. Navy will start discharging troops who do not get vaccinated against COVID-19. Officials said the separation from the service will take place as soon as possible. Sailors who previously refused to get vaccinated but have since changed their minds will be able to remain in uniform. According to last week's information, the Navy had just over 5,700 sailors who have not been vaccinated. Roughly half of them are asking for an exemption due to religious beliefs. The Navy says no one will be discharged while these requests are pending. The Army's deadline for vaccinations has also passed, and the majority of the force is either fully or partially vaccinated. The Air Force has discharged 27 service members who would not get vaccinated. A new study shows NFL players are 4 times more likely to die of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis than the general public. The condition is also known as ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. The study further indicates the longer people played football, the more likely they were to get ALS. Researchers from Harvard and Boston universities evaluated all NFL athletes who played at least one game between 1960 and 2019. They say the results suggest a link between head trauma and the disease. Amazon is releasing a short documentary about Shatner's ride to space aboard Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin earlier this year. In less than an hour, Shatner in Space tells the story of the man who portrayed Captain Kirk in Star Trek, preparing for his real-life space flight and then embarking on it. It includes conversations he had with Bezos leading up to it, the 90-year-old telling his kids what he was about to do before showing what happened on the flight. Shatner was visibly moved by his journey as he shed tears and repeated, "Oh, wow," while floating weightless and looking out the window. Cynics saw the journey as a public relations move, while others viewed the life-imitating art moment as inspirational.
Narrated by William Shatner in spoken word, as he would do for many a great song.
He does have a great
That is not true. I do not know if that's true, folks. That
Many a great song? Are you talking about the album of his that was produced in Pittsburgh?
Well, no, I had thought about that, but no,
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about more just William Shatner's spoken word, narrating it in that cadence that he has. It would be just great. Not only that, it'd be William Shatner narrating a story about William Shatner. That's what I was going for. I think that'd be fabulous. Tanya broke a record
yesterday. The whole
yesterday.
real life imitating art is pretty awesome too, because I mean, he finally got to go to space.
No, I think it's cool. I don't care if it is a PR stunt. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like he'd be like number, definitely in my top 5 people I think that deserves to go up.
I didn't know you had a top 5 list. We'll have to dive into that someday.
Yeah.
Daily Almanac put us up to a record high yesterday, got up to 76 degrees at Joplin Regional Airport, broke the previous record for December the 15th of 74 that dates back to 1984, and also picked up 0.4 of an inch after the thunderstorms rolled through and the cold front arrived. Done with our rain for the time being, should be able to hold off on it. This is going to be problematic for people cleaning up from the devastating weekend tornadoes, though, from northeast Arkansas up through western Kentucky, because not only is this system going to sink down, but they're going to have additional rainfall by the time we get to the weekend. Here's how much rain we picked up: 0.4 of an inch, both at Joplin Regional and Martin Johnson in Chanute. Down to the south there, south of I-44, we see anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Multiple storm reports, majority of them dealing with winds, whether it be 70-mile-an-hour winds. In Allen County, we had power outages with power lines blown down in Montgomery County. Right now, the majority of the power outages are in Lynn County. We still have about anywhere from 450 to 500 customers without power. Things are getting better for the rest of our southeast Kansas counties. Not a whole lot of storm reports actually coming out of southwest Missouri. And then we had the swath of tornadoes from yesterday evening into the nighttime hours from Nebraska, Iowa, and up to Minnesota and Michigan. Over 7th and Rangeline, we sit at 39 degrees right now. We'll actually get a chance to have some sunshine, despite the fact that we had those warmer temperatures for the beginning of the week. We didn't have a whole lot of sun. But now the front's settled in. We will have a gorgeous day and still above average temperatures. Now remember, we get additional rainfall on Friday and the Saturday and Sunday range only in the 40s. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
The hardest.
An American food blogger writes what's being called the worst review ever for a Michelin-starred restaurant. In fact, a review so scathing of an avant-garde restaurant in Italy that the review went viral, making her bad experience, I guess, all the more memorable. Jeannie Moose gives us a taste of what she was writing about.
This is the story of a travel writer who dished on a restaurant's dishes that were largely, shall we say, unidentifiable. For instance, this sliver of oyster loaf.
Tasting like Newark Airport. And I stand by that.
Geraldine de Ruyter wrote the review about the Italian restaurant Bros, which has one Michelin star. Some courses, she wrote, were slivers of edible paper. The restaurant bills itself as avant-garde. At one point, a waiter served a sauce.
And then he squirted something out of an eyedropper. And he said, this has been infused with meat molecules.
Now the whole 27-course dinner has been infused with hilarity as the review went viral. And this is the dish that has tongues wagging, citrus foam served in a ceramic model of the chef's lips.
There's no utensils. You just have to slurp, essentially make out with a facsimile of the chef.
Or as Stephen Colbert put it,
I'm not sure if I want to immediately start tonguing down on one of my dishes. I really feel like I should at least buy my dinner first.
The restaurant defended itself by sending NBC 3 perplexing images of horses asking, what is art? What is good taste? What is a man on a horse? A co-owner and chef said of the diners,
they didn't understand what we were making.
But she thanked the reviewer for making the ceramic mouths the restaurant offers for $65 sell out. After their $1,500 dinner for 8, the diners were so hungry they wanted to order pizza. All in all, it was an unforgettable semi-meal consumed
with a side of regret.
Like the song from Beauty and the Beast says,
try the gray stuff, it's delicious. Don't believe me? Ask the dishes.
If these dishes could talk, well, at least they've got mouths. Jeannie Moose, CNN, New York.
Got to be careful with those reviews. Take Jackson Mahomes, for instance. That's Patrick Mahomes' younger brother. He decided to leave a little bit of a scathing Instagram review. And the people at the STO bar in Kansas City, delightful place, well, they had a response. Dylan, go ahead and take that full screen. Give people an idea about what we're talking about here. This comes from my friend Pat with 2 T's on Twitter. Anyway, SOT responded with they just start out with, it's time to have a talk. And they go on to apologize to Patrick Mahomes to the point where they apologize for not being fortunate enough to be born into a much more talented and much more famous family that we think that if we did, we would use to influence in responsible ways. Once again, you can find that on Twitter. Just look for Jackson Mahomes restaurant review. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Warren Smith. Corporal Warren Smith served in France during World War I. He comes from southeast Kansas. To Corporal Warren Smith, we thank you. Today's four-state hero. Teenager in High Point, North Carolina needs a wheelchair to get around, and she needs her father's help to get into her home each day. At least she did, until a good Samaritan driving by happened to notice the struggle and offered to help in a big way. Ford Hatchett has their story.
Then basically when she gets off the bus, she has a little frown on her face, like, okay, here we go, about to go up these steps.
Almay Belton is in a wheelchair and needs her father Anthony's help to get up their front steps every day when she gets off the school bus.
Well, it was kind of hard mostly on her, because basically she's going up and down the steps, so basically you're constantly bumping and dumping down the steps, and you can see her jumping and jumping. Then at the same time, it's hurting me, because it's dealing with my back, and I'm getting older, not younger.
Then last week, the pair received a visitor.
My wife called and she says, "A man at the door." I said, "What you mean there's a man at the door?" She says, "A man with a big truck in the driveway at the door, and I don't know who he is."
The man in the big truck turned out to be Joe Hill, owner of Premier Waterproofing.
The school bus stopped, and I saw him, what he was going through, getting his daughter down.
So Joe, a complete stranger, parked his truck and knocked on the Belton's door with an offer.
"Would you mind if I come out here and just build you a ramp for nothing?" And it kind of got me. I looked at him, I was like, there's got to be a catch to it, something up. I said, "No, ain't nothing for nothing, no."
But Joe was serious. So on Monday, while Almay was at school, Joe and his team came here to the Belton home and built this ramp free of charge for Almay to use.
Joy in her heart, to see her smile. The first thing, as soon as the door opened, she got there, she just started smiling.
The part of the day which used to signal frustration and struggle now is inspirational.
The smile did it for me, yeah. And knowing that she can do it pretty much by herself, so it's a little more independence for her.
All I can say is nothing in the world could put a smile on Dad's face than seeing his kid smile, especially with seeing something that she's going to enjoy. Nothing.
A contagious smile, uniting strangers brought together by an act of humanity. And it all started with a knock on the door.
And I just saw a need, and I knew I could take care of it, and went from there.
We need to have more Samaritans out here doing the same thing as far as helping each other instead of putting each other down. We need to be there for each other. And by him doing that, that shows you right there, there are people in the world that do have hearts that do care about other people.
Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Up next on KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, a not so friendly skies. Lawmakers grill the airline industry over vaccine mandates to recent flight cancellations to the cost of baggage fees. And many families are hoping the Senate passes the Build Back Better plan as the child tax credits they've relied on are about to run out. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
Toyota. The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:32. Let's take a look at today's top stories. A Jay, Oklahoma man is dead after a crash in Delaware County. It happened on County Road 370, 10 miles east of Jay. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol hasn't said what led to the crash, but it killed 72-year-old Johnny Hauk from Jay and injured a 36-year-old man from Knoll, Missouri. An escaped Ottawa County, Oklahoma inmate is back behind bars after he was found grabbing a beer. Charles Chance escaped from the jail early Saturday morning. He'd been on the loose until he was spotted grabbing a beer at a Chili's in Mays County. Chance was originally being held on a number of charges, including possession of a stolen property. The sheriff says the Miami tribe will help his office replace the locking system at the jail. PETA wants to track down whoever brutally killed a Parsons, Kansas police officer's dog. Parsons Police Department already has a reward out for information leading to the arrest of whoever killed Ranger. And now PETA is offering an additional $5,000 reward. That brings the potential reward up to $8,000. Joplin's Bacon Me Crazy food truck is making a big impact in Kentucky as it does its part for the victims of last week's tornado. The food truck was met with long lines when it arrived in the damaged area. Donations to a GoFundMe have allowed the owners to hand out cash and gift cards to folks impacted by that deadly tornado. The owners have pulled in more than $9,000 through that fundraiser. They're providing updates on their Facebook page so you can follow along as they pay it forward. When it comes to giving, you gotta start them young, and that's the idea behind a class project at Anderson Elementary in Anderson, Missouri. Students are learning about giving through the project that pairs them with a charity. They research that charity and, using what they've learned, create a video promoting it.
At this point in their life, they have a voice, and that voice can really make a difference, that they can use that just by raising awareness. They're able to help other people, and I think that that's been something that's been exciting to watch them realize, and I think that's something that they're going to take away from this process.
You can check out the videos for yourself on the school's Facebook page. A baby Java mouse deer is born at the Warsaw Zoo, leaving staff delighted to hear the patter of extremely tiny hooves. We'll try to get through this. Oh, there it is. Aw. New arrival who was born December 2nd is only around 4 inches tall, and it's, well, we don't yet know if it's a boy or girl. Warsaw Zoo got its first mouse deer, Arnold, in 2020 and was joined by Linda in July. The zoo said it was a surprise that the pair mated and produced offspring so quickly. Mouse deer are among the smallest ungulates, or hooved mammals, on the planet. Even as adults, they weigh only 3.3 to 4.4 pounds.
A mouse deer. Who knew?
Ah.
I've watched Planet Earth several times. I've never seen the mouse
Does
deer.
it have a...
The first time in my life I've ever seen a mouse deer.
Okay, so it has more like a deer-like tail. It's just the size of a mouse.
Well, it's got hooves too.
Yeah. They're just really tiny.
I got
They're
Carrie
so
behind the
cute.
camera laughing at my mouse deer impersonation right there. It's got little hooves. Little cloven.
I have this like weird fear of mice, but I love deer, so I'm having an issue with
Yeah, I
this.
know. I can
Yeah.
see you're torn.
Yeah.
Because you hate mice.
Yeah. Well, but they don't have like a long hairless tail, and that's like the nose of a mouse.
Folks, look at the top screen right there. Watch Tanya watch her studying this.
I'm okay with this. I'm okay with
You're
this.
okay. You're cool with mouse
Yeah,
deer.
these are cute. Can we change their name though?
Okay,
Can we call them tiny deer?
When I get back to the Skywatch Weather Center, I will make sure that I check that off the list. Mouse deer, cool.
Tiny deer.
Tiny mouse deer.
Mini deer.
Well, I don't know where they live. For all I know, that there could be mouse deer down there outside of Television City, and they're simply too small to see. I don't believe that's the case, but I could very well be wrong. Skywatch Storm Tracker, we are done with our rain, and we're done with our cloud cover. We're actually going to have a substantial amount of sunshine. The problem with this overnight activity that we had is it continues to sink to the southeast. That will hamper cleanup and recovery efforts, and just from the devastating destruction that they had from the weekend tornadoes. And it's not just today. That rain's going to linger in that area all the way into the weekend. A look at our rain totals for the past 24 hours. Down here in the southern portion of southwest Missouri, we got close to 2 inches of rain. And our storm reports, they are abound. Of course, the majority of these are high winds to the point where we're still looking at about, what do we get? We got 645 customers in Lynn County that are still without electricity on this morning after the winds knocked down power lines. So sunny skies today, temperatures mid-50s, and then we pick up some additional rainfall on Friday. Begins in the morning down to the south, takes us into the afternoon and evening hours. Nothing severe, but another cold front presents itself, and we're down to the 40s for Saturday and Sunday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, beneficial technology as a fire broke out in a New Hampshire home Tuesday night. Now, the 4 people inside, they were sleeping. The homeowner goes by the name of James. Well, he was an hour away because he was at work, but there were sensors inside the home that noticed movement. He calls his wife. She grabs the 3 kids. They grab the dog, and everybody gets out safely. Even the fire chief says thanks to James and the security camera, a potential tragedy was avoided. Our question to you this morning is, how do you use technology? Gave you several options, 52% of you going with the all of the above, but 36% saying the main thing is for communication. And I would say James's would be for home security with those motion sensors. Only 2% chimed in and said use it for home security. But once again, that 52% encompasses the home security as well. 2 ways to do it each and every morning. KOAM News Now Facebook page. Go directly to the poll, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. All right, if your spidey sense is tingling, there's a new Spider-Man movie that's now in theaters. Our man, Rick Damigella, he's got the lowdown.
How do you tell someone that you're Spider-Man? Now everybody knows. But this isn't about me. This is hurting a lot of people.
He just wants to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but things go very, very wrong when he enlists the help of Doctor Strange in Spider-Man No Way Home.
When Mysterio revealed my identity, my entire life got screwed up. I was wondering if maybe you could make it so that he never did.
The plot involves villains from other universes and movies invading Tom Holland's Spideyverse.
And so characters from out of nowhere start appearing,
And it leads to some really epic confrontations and, incredible special effects and visual effects. But it also leads to this really interesting dynamic of, thinking about the past of spider lore and how it interweaves and figures into this sort of modern telling of this character and the MCU in total.
You're flying out into the darkness to fight ghosts.
What do you mean?
They all die fighting Spider-Man. It's their fate.
What kind of superpowers would No Way Home's cast members wish to wield?
I would like to get rid of all the plastic in the world.
That'd be amazing.
That would be my superpower.
Would you have a backup for that?
Like, could you like?
Because
make
once all the
people-
plastic's gone,
people are
then
gonna make
what
more
are we
plastic.
gonna do?
Yeah, right.
Listen, we live in a clever world.
To make
There are
up for all
cleverer
the
people than me
things.
that can figure it out.
If I could turn invisible so people don't have to find me, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
I would want to teleport, but I just think teleporting would make my life so much easier, and
Mm-hmm.
I could get so much more done.
The problem is you trying to live two different lives.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
A new online threat could make businesses, governments, and consumers vulnerable to cyber attacks. And now security experts are racing to get ahead of criminals. Courtney Keeley reports.
Hackers are trying to exploit a newly revealed technical flaw that could give them access to computer systems around the world. It's inside a software tool called Log4j, which is used in a range of devices, including smartwatches, TVs, gaming consoles, printers, smart thermostats, and cloud services.
How widespread is this problem?
So this particular issue is extremely widespread just because it's so common and used in many, many applications.
Mark Ostrowski with the cybersecurity firm Checkpoint says hackers have already tried to exploit the vulnerability to gain access to about half of corporate networks worldwide. Now businesses, tech companies, and governments are implementing patches to block them.
Very quickly, it's been fixed across multiple platforms, as well as cybersecurity companies have created protections against these things.
But it's possible networks have already suffered a breach that went undetected.
This is at a scale that is really historically unprecedented.
CBSN tech reporter Dan Patterson says it's important to avoid clicking on links you don't recognize.
Often hackers use phishing by sending you something that looks real and is actually a malicious link.
And he says it's vital to check for software updates on your devices to make sure you have the latest security protections. Courtney Keeley, CBS News, New York.
Well, from the friendly skies to the not-so-friendly Capitol Hill, executives from Delta, United, American, and Southwest testified before lawmakers. Republicans hit hard on vaccine mandates and recent flight cancellations, while Democrats demanded answers about the cost of baggage fees. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork has more from Washington.
Airline executives testifying on Capitol Hill. Republicans wanting answers on vaccine mandates, as a federal appeals court just rejected a request to stop United from enforcing its mandate. United Executive CEO Scott Kirby says roughly 200 employees were fired for not getting the shot. A tough number to swallow as airlines recently canceled thousands of flights due to staff shortages.
We accepted about 80% of the religious requests.
The other 20% that you did not accept.
Democrats, meantime, hit on the rising cost of travel.
Does it really cost $150 to put a bag on a plane? Obviously, the answer is no.
Airline executives thank lawmakers for their recent bailout, which they say saved about 85,000 pre-pandemic jobs, but warned inflation was already impacting their industry.
Fuels are highest, are most volatile, and most susceptible to inflation.
And the question many people want to know:
do you think be able to get on an airplane without masks?
Masks don't add much, if anything, in the air cabin environment.
The president of the Flight Attendant Union also asked Congress to do something about the rising number of brawls mid-flight. Senator Maria Cantwell, a Democrat, promising to work with the Department of Justice on that issue. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
It's beginning to look.
Overcast starts as well. Yeah, we done again. Yeah, all right, hang on folks. Florida Live Television here. This is where you just walk over. You just grab another one. A little battery issue this morning. All right, past 3 mornings, we've had cloudy skies, warm temperatures, and of course we've had to fight that wind. We're actually going to get a little break from the wind today. Now, we actually get a break from the rain as well. That's a key factor coming off of overnight where we had the thunderstorms that moved in. Now, as these progress down to the southeast, it is going to hamper cleanup for the tornado devastated areas for northeast Arkansas up through Tennessee and Kentucky as well. 24-hour rain totals for us, as much as 2 inches down there by Cassville. Joplin Regional and Martin Johnson in Chanute recording 0.4 of an inch. So pretty widespread, multiple storm reports, all of them dealing with wind for the most part. Did have one hail report come out of Montgomery County. That was our lone hail report. But all these are anything from 70-mile-an-hour winds to knock down power lines as well. And then we actually did have a swath of tornadoes that worked from Nebraska up through Iowa into Minnesota and Michigan yesterday and last night as well. No reports of any injuries. So we'll take that as a supreme positive coming off of what we had for the southeast over the weekend. 39 degrees right now over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin. Temperatures ranging from just above the freezing mark in Yates Center and Iola all the way up to 41 in Miami and in Anderson. And we'll still be above normal for today. And look at this 24-hour temperature change though. It's 30 degrees cooler right now than what it was yesterday. As far as our high, we'll go around, say about 54, 55. I think we'll throw up a 56 every now and then, not widespread. But then we've got some additional rainfall that's going to come on Friday and take us into Friday evening, followed by a cold front that'll drop us down to the 40s for Saturday and Sunday. About 35 million families in the United States receive what's called the child tax credit. That money's going to run out in weeks if the Senate does not pass the Build Back Better plan. That could put 10 million children at risk of slipping into poverty. Vanessa Yervirkich has the story.
I would like a waffle, please. You'd like a waffle?
At breakfast, Jesse and his sister Madison can have whatever they want.
Thank you.
But their mom, Emily Hardin, says that wasn't always the case.
There were a lot of times where we didn't have more than a couple of dollars and had to kind of decide, like, I wasn't going to eat so that he could eat.
But now the family is on steadier footing, thanks in part to a monthly child tax credit, or CTC, from the federal government. This year, families are getting $3,000 per child ages 6 to 17 and $3,600 for children under 6. That's up from $2,000 per child.
It's been a really big deal for us.
This single mom makes a modest salary of $34,000 as the pastor of the Church of the Covenant in Grafton, West Virginia. Bills have always been tight and still are, but the $6,600 in child tax credit she's getting makes a difference.
Being less worried about those kind of everyday expenses, which, if you're worried about everyday expenses, you're worried every day. Has meant that I feel less stressed.
But that stress is starting to build again. The Senate must pass the Build Back Better bill by December 28th to continue CTC benefits at the current amounts. Part of the holdup is West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, who has concerns about the overall cost of the bill.
We are potentially risking 50,000 West Virginia citizens or children who are benefiting from the CTC to either be pushed further down into poverty or actually cross into the poverty line.
And across the country, it's nearly 10 million children at risk.
Come here, come to mommy.
A few weeks after the first enhanced child tax credits went out in July, food security dropped by 24%. We'll be back, wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Hey.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. President Biden is vowing to do whatever it takes to rebuild tornado-struck communities in the South and Midwest. The president went to Kentucky yesterday to get a first-hand look at the devastation. President Biden said the federal government would bear 100% of the cost of the initial recovery efforts. Colleges like Princeton, Cornell, and NYU are returning to online learning amid a spike in COVID-19 cases. CDC says the Delta variant is still the dominant strain in the U.S., representing about 96% of all infections. However, the agency believes the number of Omicron cases may be doubling every 2 days. On Wednesday, the White House released a trove of nearly 1,500 documents related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Among the previously classified items is a September 1963 CIA cable that said Lee Harvey Oswald was in Mexico trying to get a visa to travel to Cuba and the Soviet Union. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Temperatures up into the mid-50s today. A whole bunch of sunshine. We're done with our thunderstorm activity. Going to have some rain reemerge Friday morning down to the south. Widespread for Friday afternoon and a cool weekend with temperatures only in the 40s on Saturday and Sunday. I want to thank you all for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.